I practice in the area of debt finance, lending, some people call it, and with a particular emphasis on oil and gas and power. The reason I chose that particular area is I had an undergrad in finance, but I always found finance and law both very interesting, and I had the good fortune of, when I first moved to Calgary, working on the Maritimes and Northeast Pipeline file. It was my very first file for the first 2 or 3 months of my time in Calgary, and that was an extraordinarily interesting and complex file, and I realized I was in the right line of business at that time. Some of my main values in this area of practice would certainly be the relationships I've built up over the years. I have a lot of clients, and I have a lot of great relationships with those clients, and I've become very good friends in many cases with the clients. So I think the personal relationships with clients is what I value the most, but I also value all the relationships I've made with colleagues in the industry and my staff as well. I've been fortunate to have had some good moments in my career. I think professionally, being one of the 7 lawyers chosen to start the Calgary office of Torys was certainly at the very height of that. It took a fair bit of time to make that happen, but we're very happy with how that's progressed to date. In terms of file matters, I think the Opti Canada financing file that I worked on for between 8 and 9 years, I guess, was certainly the highlight file-wise. It was originally started as a project financing where we built relationships with dozens of banks, and it then led to high-yield financing in the U.S., which was relatively new at the time for a small oil sands company, term loan B debt in the U.S. Then it morphed into a traditional revolving facility. It evolved then into some restructuring and buybacks of bonds, and ultimately into a CCAA process. So it was the full gambit of a debt finance transaction. I think on a personal level, just having the career that I have and having a wonderful wife and 2 wonderful kids, and they're all very healthy. So combining the personal and the professional, I think, has been probably the highlight of my career. I've been a beneficiary of a lot of advice from mentors over the years, including my mother, who's always said, never forget where you come from and who you are, and my father, who's always taught me to be a team player and not be selfish. But professionally, I would have to say that my first few weeks on the job in Calgary, my mentor at the time said, look, in the banking industry, the banking legal industry, the clients come to you with deals. Don't be the guy that screws it up. And then I think also the same mentor and several mentors over the years have always said, build your client relationships and success will follow. Generally speaking, pro bono and volunteer activities are important and has always been important in my life. My family in Cape Breton, my parents in particular, have always been very involved in the community, in sports and school and that kind of thing. So I think for my family in Calgary, it's important to be involved in our children's lives. At the office, we also do lots of pro bono and volunteer work, and I think it's important as partners not only to do that work, but also to encourage and enable associates to do the same thing.